Hi, I'm Rex Lamont Butler of Rex Lamont Butler and Associates, attorneys and counselors at law. I am a practicing lawyer in the area of criminal defense. I have practiced in this area intensely for the past 20 years. I have reviewed many thousands of pages of police reports surrounding every facet of criminal investigation and probably every significant criminal violation. It is no secret that the criminal justice system in America has been tainted by racial profiling, ethnic profiling, and age profiling. Blacks and Hispanics are watched, stopped, detained, and arrested more often than any other race of people. Teenagers and young people are also more apt to be stopped, detained, or arrested than any other age group. There doesn't appear to be any change on the horizon. On the contrary, it appears that business as usual continues to be the flavor of the day. Over the years, what has really disturbed me the most is people willing to waive their rights. I see people waive these valuable rights in situations where this waiver of rights may be the only or at least the first line of defense that they may have against being accused or charged with a crime. Today, we have federal sentencing guidelines that will put people in jail for life who have never injured another human being. These human rights violations are now a part of the criminal justice system nationwide. There is still an ongoing movement towards substantially longer jail sentences. We have the Patriot Act and Homeland Security, supposedly aimed at terrorism. However, they are also being used to take our rights away. America's new passion and paranoia with terrorists and terrorism has invaded our rights under the Constitution. Therefore, we must all be educated about what our rights are, and we must insist on our rights being respected, and we must not waive them. Agencies such as the FBI, DEA, CIA, ATF, INS, state troopers, and police departments around the country now have these greater powers. The only way to level the playing field is to know your rights and know how to exercise them. Over the next half hour, we are going to show you how to protect yourself under the United States Constitution. I will present several scenarios, and then I will take the time to explain each scenario so that if this happens to you, you will know what to do. In the first scenario, you will see Ivan Miranda being questioned by retired police sergeant Wilbur Hooks, who has done many thousands of investigations and interrogations.
How you doing, Carlos? I'm Investigator Jones.
How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
All right.
I want to talk to you, Carlos, about a hit-and-run accident that just occurred about 20 minutes ago at 36 and C Street. You want to talk to me about that? We got witnesses that's seen you leave the scene of an accident, and the description certainly fits you, a white baseball cap and a gray sweater.
Officer, I know my rights. I will not speak with you or answer any questions without the help of a criminal defense attorney. I'll need a lawyer. My constitutional rights allow me just to simply say no.
Well, that certainly is your right, Carlos, and I'm going to respect your rights. And I'll just finish processing you, and I'll take you to the magistrate, and from there we'll go to jail, okay?
Okay, I would like to make a phone call when it's convenient.
That can be arranged.
Now, Ivan does several things right. Even though he is nervous, he lets the officer know right away that he wants a lawyer, and he is not going to talk without a lawyer. That is the best way to handle a situation when you are arrested. He was also polite. It doesn't matter how persistent a police officer might be or how much pressure any police officer or agent uses on you. You should stand fast and clearly say, "I will not talk to you," without a lawyer being present. You don't have to say it over and over again. Just say it and then be quiet. Don't let any officer or agent force you or trick you into answering questions. Don't allow them to use an approach on you where one officer seems to be a nice guy and the other officer seems to be a mean person. There are many ways that officers try to get their questions answered. Do not play the games with them because you will lose, and everything you say will be used against you to either put you in jail or prosecute you for a crime. And if you are not a citizen of the United States, it will be used to deport you. Look at this next scenario with Gloria Melendez being questioned by Mr. Hooks and Mr. Lamani.
Have you seen these before?
I don't know anything about that. No, I never.
You don't
seen
know
that
Johnny?
peop- No, I don't.
You don't know Carlos?
No.
Misty?
No, I don't.
This is not your handwriting?
No.
You know, Maria, the fact of the matter is your husband has told us all about you and those 4 children you have. And you know, 15 years is a long time to be without your children. So I think you need to cooperate with us.
Let me talk to her. Let me talk to her. I think she will cooperate with us, and I think she will help us and come clean with us. Maria, I know my partner was very hard on you, but I'm here to try to help you, to be nice to you, and you're kind of scared a little bit. What I like to know, all the names, the money, the purse, the jokes, fine. It's going to be easy for you. It's going to be easy for us. And we need to stay all day here.
And what do you want to know about it?
Well, first, I like to know the purse belong to you.
Yes.
Do you know this guy's name? This one here?
Yes, he's my husband's friend.
Maria, we thank you for your cooperation.
In the scenario you just saw, Gloria kept telling the officer she didn't know anything, and even though the officer put pressure on her, she still told the officer she didn't know anything. However, when the nice officer approached her, she still began to answer questions. Once she answered questions, she was still arrested, and she still went to jail. Rather than tell a lie to law enforcement, you have the right to not answer questions. Do not answer questions without an attorney being present. If you don't answer questions, there will be no need to lie. She should have followed what Ivan had done earlier when he immediately told police he wanted a lawyer. While the police officers didn't put a lot of pressure on Ivan, Ivan knew that all he had to do is just be quiet and remain silent until they either got him a lawyer or took him before a judge where he would have the right to have a lawyer appointed to him. If police want to arrest you, they will, whether you answer questions or not. Don't answer questions without the help of a lawyer. Don't give them evidence to use against you. Don't be a witness against yourself. If you cannot afford a lawyer, do not worry about it. A lawyer must be appointed to help you in any criminal case. In the next scenario, you will see Baruch Miranda being approached on the street by 2 police officers who want to ask him questions. Baruch listened for a brief moment, and then he decides he was going to move on about his business. He had every right to walk away from the officers unless they ordered him to stop. If they ordered him to stop, he would stop, but he had no obligation to talk to the police, and he had no obligation to answer their questions. He has the right to tell them that he doesn't want to talk to them and that he wants to be on his way. He is not required to answer them. In most situations, if you remain silent, the police officers have no choice but to let you go. They usually have no reason to arrest or detain you if you keep your mouth closed. Officers can talk to anybody who will listen. However, they cannot force a person to answer questions, and they cannot just arrest a person simply because the person will not answer their questions. In a situation like Baruch had, you walk away, don't run, just walk away. If police insist on talking to you, remember you have the right not to make a statement. If they say you're under arrest, then you have to let them arrest you. But remember, don't make any statements without an attorney present to help and guide you. In this next scenario, friends are gathered on a street corner talking and enjoying each other when an agent approaches them. Watch what happens.
Talking now? Yeah. Okay.
So just what did you do when you went to the Arctic Games? Did you guys like play a lot or?
Hey, what are you all doing? Hey, what are you all doing? What are you all doing?
Officer, we haven't done anything wrong. We haven't bothered anyone, and we'd appreciate it if you just leave us alone. We have rights, and one of them is not to speak with you if you don't want to. My constitutional rights allow me just to simply say no.
What's that?
All right.
So we gonna play basketball tonight or what?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I got some people we can all
All right,
go.
let's go.
I'll be center.
Go.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
In that situation, it was very simple for Brandon Carmen to say, "Officer, we haven't done anything wrong, and we would appreciate it if you would leave us alone." They have no obligation to answer the agent's questions. They can go about their business. If the officer gets aggressive with them in any way, the best thing for them to do is to leave the corner and go on about their business. But remember, you are not required to answer questions unless you want to. Police officers have the right to walk up to anyone they choose and start a conversation. However, it's up to you to just move on. Leave trouble behind. Don't try to challenge any officer or agent, and always be polite, but you have the right to let the officer know that you don't want to talk. Again, if the officer forces you to stay or makes an arrest, you still have the right not to make a statement. Remember, you have a right under America's laws not to be a witness against yourself. Again, if you're going to be arrested or going to be detained, you want a lawyer to represent you, and you want to tell them, "I need a lawyer before I talk to you." Don't let them trick you or force you into making statements. Simply say, "I will not talk without a lawyer." In any criminal case, they must get a lawyer for you. Now we are going to move on to a situation where Brandon and his friend are headed to the movies, and they are stopped by police for speeding. One of the first things that the officer says to Brandon is he wants to search the car. Let's watch what happens.
Sir, can you shut the car, please? The car is belong to you?
No, it belongs to my uncle.
To your uncle? He let you drive it? Okay, you don't mind search the car?
I'm afraid I feel comfortable with you searching my car.
Are you hiding something? Or?
No, I have nothing to hide. I'm just like, I have a date with my girlfriend here, and we're pretty
We're just on our way to the movies. Downtown to dinner.
The movie
late.
starts at 8:45, and
Well, I really like to search the car. I mean, just see kind of suspicious here.
Oh no, I mean, I'm sorry, officer. I just don't feel comfortable with you searching my car. I mean, do you have any grounds for this? I mean,
Officer, we're just on our way to the movie. It's just a traffic stop. We're speeding. I'm sorry. We're late for a movie. And that's why we're speeding. Sorry.
Okay. Sir, can I have your registration and license, please? Sir, here's your license and your registration and your ticket for your speeding. And slow down.
Thank you, officer.
In this situation, the officer was a little insistent on wanting to search the car. Brandon explains that it is his uncle's car who has let him drive it, and he is not going to allow the officer to search the car. Now, this is important for several reasons. Number one, it doesn't matter whose car it is. If you are driving it, it is in your possession and control. You have the right to just say no when an officer wants to search the vehicle. It doesn't matter if the police officer makes you get out of the car. You still have a right to just say no to a search. In most cases, once you say no to the officer, they will give you the ticket or give you a warning and let you go on your way. If, however, the officer puts pressure on you, just say no. Say it clearly. No, sir, or no, ma'am. I am not going to give you permission to search. If the officer asks you if you have anything to hide, you should make it clear to the officer it's not about hiding anything. It's about your right to just say no. If you put it that way, most of the time the officer will leave you alone. Always be polite, but stand firm and just say no.